Hey, welcome back. Um, it's not whether you get knocked down, it's whether you get up. Vince Lombardi. All right, so this is FreeCodeCamp.org. Right now we're working on responsive web design certification. And then this is going to be part two of the survey form video. I did a part one where I did the HTML within the survey form certification project. And then this video is going to be the CSS of the survey form certification project for responsive web design. All right, so let's jump right into it. So this is the HTML we created, and you'll see why we needed a part two, because although we passed all of the tests, um, that when we hit, you know, when we hit run the tests, our form still looks pretty terrible, and this is not what we would want somebody to see when they log on to complete our form. We want them to see something nicer, kind of like this. So let's do some work to it. Building a survey form. So this is the HTML. Let's open the CSS and we'll hide the instructions so we can kind of see what we're doing a little bit better here. So first thing is, learning to code. All right, so everything except for all of this should be outside of the form, or it should be inside of the form, except for the H1 and the paragraph element describing the form. So let's take a look at our HTML. Yep. H1, okay, paragraph, all right. And then we have our form. All right, so that works. So why don't we do some formatting for our H1, um, H1 and our paragraph. So we're going to do text, align, center. Maybe it's align text. That's not right. Align text, align. All right, so it seems to like text align. And then center. All right, so now to align text to the center using CSS. Text align center. All right, that's what we just did. Why isn't, oh, do we link it? Link css.styles. Okay. Instructions. Okay. Styles.css. And I put, so I have this backwards. That's why it's not working. There we go. Now it works. All right. So now I put this in this. Okay. And then origin. Oh, I set it to 1 EM. 2 EM. 0. 1 EM. Okay. 2 EM. 3 EM. No, we'll just keep it at 2 EM. No. 10 pixels. Let's see what it looks like. So at the top, margin top has quite a bit. So let's give it some margin top. But that actually will just be to the H1. So we'll create just an H1 and we'll add margin top to EM. There we go. That looks better. And then this was pretty close. So on paragraph, we'll put that looks pretty good actually. We can leave that right how it is. We'll put margin bottom to EM. Yeah. Yeah, that looks fine. Give it a little space between the form. And then form. No, not that. This one. I'm gonna wanna text line center. Okay. So the line to the center. Right. And then we have to go back and see. We want the label. We want. All right. So we've got our our labels. And what we'll do is put the display to block. Okay, that looks a little bit better. All right. And put our inputs. Display block. Whoa. Okay. Margin. Margin. Also. Here. Okay. There we go. Margin auto. Width. We'll do 90%. Okay. Label. Should labels should actually be aligned to the to the to the right side page. So label text align right. Oh, maybe I meant left. Left. All right. Oh. And then it's gonna have margin. It's gonna be margin left It's going to be 5%. 10%. Why is it moving the boxes? Let's try to do padding instead. Hmm. So, okay. It's a little tight. So around our labels, let's put padding. Let's put margin of auto. Nah. Put a margin of 10 pixels. Um, 20 pixels. But why is it so attached there to the input field still? Input. Put some padding around the inputs. Padding. 20 pixels. Well, some padding is the wrong property. Property is margin. And then put 20 pixels. 50 pixels. So we'll just do margin top. There we go. That looks better. So we have our form, we have our fields. All right. And then, so name, email, age looks right. All right, let's take a look at our drop down. So yeah, put this on the next line. So what was our drop down? Email. Which scenario? It was the select. So we're gonna do a select. And that's gonna be display. It's gonna be a block level, so display. All right, dropped it to the next line. And then we're gonna do margin up. Sorry, forgot the semicolon. We're gonna do margin up. What have we been doing? 20 pixels, so we'll just stay consistent with that. 20 pixels. All right, now I select a stage, inner expert, cool. And then, would you recommend? So they have this backwards. They have the, I have it backwards. They have the radio button and then the label. So let's take a look at that. So the CSS. So let's just move this to after the input. Okay. I'll have to delete it. Label for yes, input, and then we'll just turn backspace. Okay. And then we'll cut this. We'll do the same thing. Label, paste that. So now they're after. So our labels should already be block level, and they are. Oh, but in this scenario, so in the scenario where we have a label and a select, not select, a radio, we're going to put the display as in line. I messed up all of the labels, so let's just try to do the radio as in line. And maybe we can, this might be where we give it a class. So we can give the label a class. I think that will work. So the class will be dot inline. All right. And then we will create a class in the HTML. Where's this? Would you recommend? Learn to code self-taught journey on YouTube. Would you recommend? Label for yes. All right. So then we'll put a class in here equal to, oh, um, inline. And then we'll also make our radio buttons display inline. Inline block. We don't want it there. And But they still don't look like they are on the same line. And also, um, region line left. So I'm searching for how to align a radio button to the left using CSS. All right. Add the following code to your CSS tab. Float left. Let's try float left. Didn't work. What else? Clear. What I did was I added div tags to each input and label elements, and I added the same class to all of the divs and flex them with CSS. Display flex, flex direction row. This will bring the input on the left and the label on the right. All right. So let's take a look at what they did. So what I did was I added div tags to contain each input and label elements. I added a same class to all of the divs and flex them with CSS. Display, flex, flex direction, row. We'll bring the input on the left and the label on the right. Okay, so let's try that. Class. I added the same class to all the divs and flex them with CSS. Okay, so let's go back to that. So what they did is they put learn to code on YouTube. So label. So they put just space things out so we can see what we're doing a little bit. So like this is the first one. So they put the first one within, so we'll go back one. They put it within a div. All right. Div. All right. And then they gave it class inline. All right. And then what did they say they did? Display is flex, flex direction is row. All right, let's take a look at this. So, flex. All right. Flex direction row. All right. So div input. Okay. Class was alignment. All right, so this is what they did. So they put the input first. They gave an ID, type, name, value. All right. label, and then definitely, okay, but they also put the label after in their HTML. So let's switch that around. So their label stuff. Moved it after. Okay. Input self-closing label. All right, so there's this label. All right, input yes, value yes. Let's see what they had in their label. 4. Okay, so they just had 4, same as the ID and the value. Definitely, definitely, definitely. So we have an ID of yes, 4, yes, name. We should put yes. Value yes, name yes. Okay. Div. All right, we'll call it a line instead of inline. Okay. And class equals line. Whoa, why is the button so big now? Whoa, wow. The name, the name should not be the same. The name should be Echo Man. Okay, that's why that's working. Okay. Let's take this away altogether. All right. What I did was I added div tags to contain each input and label elements. I added the same class to all the divs and flexed them with CSS. Display, flex. Flex direction, row. This will bring the input on the left and the label on the right. Okay. Reply. So set the width to 100%. The input elements. Where's the inputs? Set the width to 100%. All of your input elements which serves your purpose for the type text input, but make your type radio ones render on a different line other than their respective labels. In this way, they'll never show up side by side. Give your type text input class so you can set them independently. You don't want a width of 100% set on your radio inputs. Then remove the div class So we gotta change. So everything else on the input, we want the width to be 100%, but it's the width on the radio inputs. Radio width should be 0%. We should say input, and then we're going to do one of these type selector things. Type equals radio. Okay, what just happened? Let's just try to get rid of, comment it out. I think it was, and all right. Display inline. Okay. So no is working correctly. Now let's just get rid of the other advice with the div. It just hurt us, not helped us. Why? Label. So we'll make a class so we can add some, get this by itself. Class radio group. All right. So dot radio group, and then display block. Radio group, radio group. Okay. Why is this on? Because that's why. All right. Label. Put it like that again. There we go. That's better. Okay. All right. So that's what I've got. This we don't need it, so we'll just delete it. The advice on that other website didn't work for us. So yes and no. This is their form, but they have everything in line real nice. So how do I get it to be over to the left? Input radio width. I don't think we need this width. Oh. That's fine. Okay. So, looks like CSS might be the hard part. I feel like HTML was easier than this. Okay. How do I get these to be over there? Justify. Text align left to left justify. All right. All right. So, hmm. All right. So, I guess what I could go do is go back to the other lesson. Good camp. And I could go to the menu, the curriculum, not donate curriculum, go responsive web design. I could go back where they taught us how to build the registration form, and I could see what step were they doing. So they did this. This has been here a while. I could just take a look at their code. And account type. Let's take a look. Account type. They put it in a legend. Wired label personal account input. So they put it in a legend. Personal account. Input ID personal account. Type radio. Name account type. Checked. Personal. And then business account. So they could put that after. Okay. They had it in a field set. Display block, margin, 5, 0. So let's try that. So for the class inline, they had display margin of 0.5 round. Copy. Let's try this. Paste. I feel like display should not be blocked. I feel like it should be inline. Didn't do anything. Maybe I should just get rid of this class altogether. It's not doing anything anyway. All right. And width should be 0. 5. There we go. So it was set to 100, so it has to do with the width. Okay, so we'll make it 10. Looks good. Much better. So the issue was with the width because we had the input width of all of the inputs overall set to 100%, which is good up here because we want them to go across the entire screen. But it is not good for the radio button input. So we'll make it, how about we make it 20%? Yeah, 20%. No, 20, 10. Okay, 5. We'll make it 20 pixels. 20 pixels. Good. All right. So, but it's tabbed over. Class radio group. Let's just get rid of this class. Because it's within this label. That's why it's moving it over. So this label goes there. So what we'll do is we'll just put it right there. There we go. I moved it over pretty nice. It's still not in line with everything though. How do we get it all the way over? So we'll do a margin. Margin auto. Perfect. That moved it over pretty nice. Let's take a look. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so we've got all these things. Um, Getting there. Let's take a look. So we've got from here to here basically done. We'll worry about this little box afterwards and the colors afterwards and changing the way the text look afterwards. Sorry about that, guys. Just had to reply to somebody. All right. Uh, so this looks good. What is your favorite feature of FreeCodeCamp? What did I do? Um, I didn't do that one. Select. So now we're on to. So we only had one drop down, not two. Now we're on to getting these to line up just like we got those to line up. So we learned from experience that the checkbox labels label this label is right there. Oh, this should go right here. That brings that everything over. And then our survey form, yeah, it has the text on the back end. So we've got to switch that around. All right. So it's the best ever. So that's fine. But we're just going to put this after that. Okay. And the channel needs help. I'm going to put this after the input. Okay. What happened? I deleted it again by mistake. Okay. And the other option is the channel is excellent. So now I have them after that. Now, the only other thing I should have to do is basically copy this, copy, and then instead of it being a radio input, we're going to have it be a checkbox. All right, fix that. Very cool. And then let's take a look at there. So any suggestions? And then they just have that centered. So, and then where is this label? How can I make my channel better? We'll give this a class equal to bio label. Okay. And then we'll format the bio label class. All right, we'll do this, and it's going to be display block with 100%. And then this should also be there to bring it above that. All right, how can I make my channel better? There we go. And then this, we'll do a next area with 100%. Okay. Nice. Okay, so this is starting, and then our submit button in our instructions, we had left out inside your form, okay. In our instructions, we had left out this test. Your submit should have a type of submit. So let's go down to our submit button. So here's our button, ID of submit. And that should also have a type equal to submit. All right. And their button is, wait, this is not it. This is theirs. Their button takes up the whole area. So we'll do our button selector. Maybe it's there. There we go. We should also give it some margin top. 20 pixels. Okay, perfect. That looks good. So we've got our form. Feel like we could change the text of a lot of different things. So there's our H1 paragraph. All right, so overall, we want to change our H1 paragraph label, and yeah, so we'll start by changing that. We're gonna do what's it called? Text style, font style. How to change the font style of an HTML element using CSS. And to change CSS font family property. So we're going to set the font family family to, let's do, I think they used sans serif. There we go. So we changed the font family to make the font a little bit nicer. And it's good. So we changed our font family. And then for our form, we'll do a background color. And then I can never remember the background color they use. I think it's this one. So I'm going to copy this from one of their other tutorials and paste it here. Okay. Oh, yes. And then also, that's the form background color. But now we gotta change the font color. So that should just be color. And that. And then this should be the font color. Copy. And paste. All right, now the font color in that form looks very nice. Let's take a look. I had some top margin just above this one. All right. But also, let's add a background. Can I copy this? Let's see. Hmm. See, I guess I inspect it. Trying to. I feel like we could just use any image that kind of looks like this. Um, let's use. I don't know. I'm not going to use any of these. All right. It's weird. Usually we can copy the image address. Inspect. All right. Body. Let's see. This is the div container. And form. It's the container div. All right. We're taking the time. All right. And where's the CSS in this inspection? Oh, here we go. So div container. Okay. Body. Okay, here we go. Background image right there. And they did a linear gradient. That's cool. So it shows you how to do the bluish gradient. So I'm just going to copy this because I don't know if I'm going to be able to remember this. And we'll paste their background image in our form too. Copy. At least we'll try to. I don't know if it'll work. Where's our body? We don't have a body selector. All right, so we'll add, before our form, we'll put body and background image. Very cool. So we have our background image. So our thing is starting to look like theirs. Our form, I want to make the form a little smaller. Form, we're going to do, oh, that's good. Right there, text align center. All right, but all right. I don't know what's going on. Why can't I see this? Get rid of the instructions. Where's our form? Form has our background color. Width should make this 80%. How do I center the form in its parent? Okay. How to center a form. Oh, it's probably margin. It's probably margin. So we'll do margin auto. Let's see. There we go. Margin auto. All right, so we're getting super close. You guys remember what this looked like before? So now, I mean, they also did some sort of transparency thing that I don't know how they did, which I could find in here, which I will. I should. I should find the transparency thing. I want to make it look, and their submit button is green. Let's go down to their form. There we go. Form. That's the color of their submit button. I'm taking it. Copy. All right. So button background color. Now we have a green background color. Um, and then they put the actual color to be that other color that we used up here. So this is, we also want this in the submit button copy. All right. And then they also use the text in the rest of the page. So font family, sans serif, copy. Okay. There we go. And then we gave it a top margin. Let's give it a bottom margin. Margin, bottom. Do 20 pixels again. And let's take a look at what that looks like. Yeah, so now it added some space on the bottom. We need that on the top too. This is just a label, but that specific label we should put a class name on and then give it some top margin. H1. So name. Where's our name? Name label. Class. We could just do it by ID, I believe. Let's see. So instead of class, so we have our form. So a class would be like dot, name, that would be our class name. But we're gonna do think you can just do hashtag for an ID that you already have set. And we have an ID of name label set. And then let's give it a margin top of 20 pixels and see if that works. Didn't work. So how to make a selector for an ID. That's what we gotta search. How to make a CSS selector for an ID. Right. Here, a hashtag followed by the ID of the element. So write a hashtag character followed by the ID of the element. That's what I did. So we have our form, label, name, label. Now let's just make a class for now. Figure out how to do that. Name label. That should work. Margin top. Class equals. So we'll just see if we apply class to it. Hmm. Oh, it didn't change it. Let's try more. Huh. Label, name. All right, so let's see how they did it. So we've got our form. Leave an ID survey form. There's our CSS form padding. But specifically in our form label. So they put label, name label. Sizing, border box, cursor, font family. They use Poppins. Cool. But they probably did that styling margin. And they did it here. Auto. Um, so how did form? Maybe there's padding. Padding. I'll try to add some padding, see if that helps. There we go. The padding does it. All right. So margin's not helping at all, so we'll just get rid of that. So it looks a little bit larger. We'll put 30 pixels. Perfect. And then their corners are a little bit rounded, and ours are sharp. So let's figure out how they rounded the corners. Say it's form, border radius. 0.25 rem. I want to say it's border radius. They put some padding too. I'm gonna try border radius and see if that does it. Inform. And that made our corners there. They also have it a little bit transparent. How do we make that happen? Oh, they have an alpha channel added to the end of it. So they have 80% transparency. So they have 27, 27, 50, and then 0.8. Whereas I had a hashtag. So they used a RGBA formula. Let's see. So instead of this, we're going to use, oh, but they said we could also add an alpha. Yeah, we can add an alpha. So we'll just make it 20% transparent. Oh, wait, way too much. 90? Yeah, that's nice. I mean, I feel like ours is super light compared to theirs now. Theirs is much darker. 98. There we go. 99. 100? Can't do 100. Yeah. All right. It's not bad. So, yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty close to what they have now, you know? So we could go and we could save our code now. And we have a survey form that's pretty close to theirs now, so I'm pretty happy with it. CSS, as you can see, I feel like, the more you do it, the quicker you're going to get at remembering, how you can do a selector for a certain thing, whether it's important that you're using margin or padding, how to do your colors, how to round your corners, how to put the images, um, that image that we found in the container. So if we went into the container and then we went to body, we went to the body, I meant, and we looked at the background, you know, background image in the body, you know, they have the transparency on that, and then they even did a linear gradient, and that's stuff that we haven't learned how to do yet. So it's pretty cool, pretty cool. And then we put that in there, and we got it pretty close. So I saved it, and then we ran our tests, and then keep calm and code on. And then you can download your solution if you want. Um, but basically, let me close the instructions. Here's the top. I'll leave that up for a second. You could take a screenshot of that. Go ahead and pause the video and take a screenshot. All right. And then we'll move this down to here. All right. Pause the video. You can take a screenshot of that. All right. And then I'll move it down to the end. All right. Pause the video if you could take a screenshot of that. And then I'll move it down to there. Go ahead and pause the video. You can take a screenshot of that. All right, so that was our first certification project for responsive web design. Excuse me. And we're gonna move on to the next one now. I'm sorry that I had to do two parts for this one, but it just, time allotted. The first video I had enough time to do the HTML. The second video I had enough time to do the CSS. But yeah, you can see that. I mean, the more you do, that's why FreeCodeCamp is so cool, because the more projects you do, the better you get at remembering how to use certain types of HTML elements, how to use certain types of CSS selectors. I've been reading some stuff on the side, and I found that, like, Flexbox and all that in CSS, it's important to understand how to make containers and nest things in containers and then set display properties on the containers that you made, whether they be a div or a field set or whatever. And Flex and Flexbox, that's stuff I got to learn about more. And it'll help you create, better looking web pages. And just messing with the settings really makes it look a lot better. Like we add a little bit of transparency. We put that linear gradient over the background image to make it look really fancy. I'm happy with it. It looks almost like this. I mean, I could mess with the settings a little bit more to see how I like, different types of text on here and stuff. And then if you get stuck, I mean, if you're using Chrome, you can kind of look what they did by just, hitting inspect on the page or viewing the source code. Um, and that helps out a lot because you can see what they used to build it and stuff. So, all right. If you like the content, subscribe and follow. We're going to learn how to code this year in 2024. Follow along with me. All right. I'll see you in the next video.